fastest teams to practice today. Kyle
Casey Kane, we congratulate him, his third career pole.
It's all three Hendrick Motorsports in the front.
There's a few movers and shakers out there.
Carl Edwards free falling for a couple
to victory lane is Joey Logano.
Get the inside line on who's fast and who's last before setting your NASCAR fantasy race team lineup this weekend. This is the Inside Line on MRN.com, presented by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your fantasy experts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
It's the paperclip version of the Inside Line as the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series heads to the Martinsville Speedway for the STP 500. And you know what? It's STP Race Week here on MRN. Get ultra performance with STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. STP, in for the long haul. This is Robbie Mays. I'm Tyler Burnett. We're here to talk fantasy racing as we do each and every week.
We like to talk fantasy racing.
We do.
That's
why we're here.
Yeah.
And so going to Martinsville, there are, one or two guys that are going to be very, very good that probably haven't been great all year long, but they're still good at this racetrack, and they should probably get a look for your race team, don't you think?
Martinsville is kind of an equalizer because of it's a short track, number one, obviously. It's flat. It's slow, but it's fast, and that's what I love about Martinsville is you still have to have a fast race car, but you have to go slow. The way to get through the corners of Martinsville Speedway is to go slower in the corners, and I know that's difficult to understand sometimes, but in order to get around that racetrack, you have to get in the corner slow and accelerate off to get a good run down the straightaways. The straightaways are still plenty long, but in order to be able to pass people at the end of those straightaways, you got to get a good jump off the corner, and that's the key to getting around Martinsville Speedway.
So if it's an equalizer, is it a wild card? Can anyone win? Because I don't think they can. I mean, there's probably 10 cars that are good enough to win at Martinsville. When we go to Talladega, all 39 of them could win. So it's not a wild card, right?
I don't think the spring race is the wild card. I think the fall race is more of a wild card. The spring race, you see drivers dominate and go to victory lane. In the fall race, for some reason, it seems like even the dominant car is not always the one that's in victory lane at the end of the day. Case in point, last fall, the fall race at Martinsville, where incidentally Jeff Gordon, who we're going to hear from later on in the show today, he was in victory lane, didn't necessarily have the fast car. So I think the spring race is more straightforward than the fall race can be sometimes.
Coming up on the program today, MRN pit reporter Alex Hayden will join us. You hear him weekly on MRN's pre-race coverage of NASCAR Live. He gives the Burger King Smart picks for your fantasy team on Sunday morning. Also, we'll hear from Jeff Gordon, as you mentioned, at a press conference on Wednesday at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I asked him who he thinks will be good at Martinsville, so we'll hear about that. We'll also give our teams and our winners. You're watching the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tire.
We'll be right back in just a moment to talk more fantasy racing with Tyler and Robbie here on the Inside Line.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get premium blades that ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 instantly on a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ready to take the training wheels off your race scanner? Go to fanvision.com and upgrade your experience with FanVision. Not only will you be able to hear the race,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets a good run, drafting help from Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Jr. again pulls up alongside for the race lead.
You'll see every moment through live video, instant replays, live stats, and more.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, driver of the #1 Cessna Chevrolet, and I never go to the track without my FanVision. So go to fanvision.com to rent or buy yours today.
Business is a lot like racing. It takes a strong team of pros to succeed. That's why Freightliner Trucks created TeamRunSmart.com, a free online community that connects owner-operators with the trucking industry's A-team. The Team Run Smart pros and coaches help maximize your profitability with real-world advice on everything from fuel-efficient speccing to healthy eating to filing taxes. Sign up today to earn rewards and connect with fellow truckers at TeamRunSmart.com.
Now it's back to Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett on the Inside Line.
Join the other 932 people playing in our NASCAR.com Fantasy Live League each and every week. Right now, team name Holland AZZ88 is leading our league right now.
Well, with a name like that, you should be leading our league right now.
With Travis Wood and Chris Keeps rounding out the top 3 in league standings. Currently, yours truly sits 17th out of 932, which is respectable. And where are you, Robbie?
That's not important.
Anyways.
Where I am is not important. The fact that I'm having a fun time playing the game is.
It's all about fun, right?
It's all about having fun.
Anyway, search MRN Inside Line. That's 3 words on NASCAR.com.
Or just go to the
Live.
address that's on the screen right there.
Martinsville. Jeff Gordon has been rather dominant at this racetrack over his career. I mean, the numbers are staggering.
There's just one little problem, though.
He's not in the race.
He's not in the race anymore.
He's not. But he is one of us now. He's in the media.
Yes.
He works for Fox. He's doing a very good job, actually, as an analyst when we are off and PRN is working the races. Our friends at the Performance Racing Network. I watched the broadcast with Jeff Gordon, and he does a very good job in the booth. But on Tuesday at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, they had a press conference for Martinsville. Clay Campbell was there. And I had to ask Jeff Gordon who he likes this weekend at Martinsville.
I personally thought Denny Hamlin was probably the strongest car there the last time. They had some issues, got behind. Then they made that aggressive call at the end to stay out. But if you look, I think he finished 3rd or 4th with old tires. That tells me he had a really strong race car. And I don't think we ever saw how strong he was when it really mattered. We saw the dominance that Joey Logano had and how fast he was. If you look at his statistics the last couple races there, really, really good. We know how important that number 1 pit stall is. He qualifies extremely well there. So I think that's gonna be gonna really play out. I think Kurt Busch is really strong there as well. You know, though when I was out there last year, to me it was Kurt and Joey seemed to be the ones that were really showing the strength. I still think Denny was the strongest, but we never got to see it until that last run, on the older tires. And just the fact he held on there as good as he did tells me that it was pretty good. And those Gibbs cars have been really good there in recent years. But you can't count out 8-time. The kind of season he's having. I don't think they've run as good at Martinsville the last 2 or 3 races that they've been there, but with the kind of year he's having, I just think their car and their team has improved over the last year or 2.
Of course, 8-time being his former teammate and prodigy, Jimmy Johnson, who has 8 wins at the Martinsville Speedway. So let's start there. Start or not start Jimmy Johnson this weekend at Martinsville?
On my team, I'm not starting Jimmy Johnson this weekend at Martinsville. We talked about it last week when we had Rich Colbert on the show with us. The last couple of years, for some reason, and I don't know why, but this team has struggled, although I still stand by my statement last week about this team is better than they were a year ago. But for my money, I am not going to start the 48 car this weekend at Martinsville. I am going to start the 4 car, finally, at Martinsville this weekend. Kevin Harvick, spring 2011, he went to victory lane here. I'll say this about Kevin Harvick. He's very streaky at Martinsville Speedway throughout his career. He was 8th in both races here a year ago. And after losing so many points the last 2 weeks because of the number of laps that he has led, I got to put him on my team. Even though he doesn't lead a lot of laps at Martinsville Speedway, only 556 laps in his career in 29 starts. He's led the field at Martinsville in the Sprint Cup Series. I got to put him on my team. I can't afford to keep losing points with him out front.
Well, you mentioned he doesn't lead laps at Martinsville, but the numbers this year as far as leading laps are staggering. We've ran 1,304 laps. Kevin Harvick has led 413 of those laps. If you can do the math, which I had to do before we came here, 32% of the laps, the 4 car has been out front this year. That's why he is on my team this week. I debated it, honestly. I debated starting Kevin Harvick because his numbers aren't that great at Martinsville. But Kevin Harvick's on my team moving forward and beyond because you cannot not start him if you're going to win in your fantasy league at any racetrack we go to.
Well, if I had started him earlier in the season, and I had him on my team for Las Vegas, I think, 3 weeks ago. If I had kept him on my team, he's grown in price, I think, 50 cents since the start of the season. So right now I've got him locked in for $28, so I've lost that 50 cents. that I could be using later on down the road. He does have the 5th highest driver rating in a 94.6, and his 10 race average is 13.1.
Well, Harvick's on my team, and old 8-time, as Jeff Gordon said, he's on my team as well. In fact, I've started him all year long, which is why I'm 20th in points and Robbie isn't, or he's 17th in points, because Jimmy Johnson has been good. But if you look at their numbers at Martinsville, like you mentioned, 32nd, 35th, and 12th the last 3 races, they haven't been great. But as you said, and I will completely agree with you, the 48 team is better now than they were last year. And through this stretch last year, they were good after Martinsville. Like you mentioned last week, Jimmy Johnson will be good moving forward. So that's my top 2 picks. Now, I'm trying something different this weekend. I've been preaching to you guys that the 18, the 4, and the 48 are the 3 best cars in the garage, and I still believe that. But right now I'm finishing 20th to 30th every week, which is fine. And that's a respectable finish out of 932 people.
Certainly a lot better than what I'm doing right now.
But I want something different. I want to win. I want to be up front, And I need to do something different. So I dropped Kyle Busch this week, and I'm going to plug in someone who I think is right now the best driver at this racetrack, and that's Denny Hamlin. Hamlin is on my team this week. His numbers are outstanding at Martinsville in the last 3 races. He has a 3rd. He has a win the time before that and an 8th place finish, and then a bunch of top 10s throughout his last 10 races at Martinsville. So Denny Hamlin is on my team. That's my top 3. Round out your top 3 real quick, Robbie.
I also have Denny Hamlin on my team, and I mentioned this before Phoenix. 13 of his 27 career Sprint Cup Series wins had been on flat racetracks, and he was 3rd at Phoenix International Raceway 3 weeks ago. So I've also got Denny Hamlin. I dropped Kyle Busch to pick Denny Hamlin up just as you did this week. And my 3rd guy on my roster, I'm going back to Austin Dillon, and I want to talk to Alex Hayden about this here in a few minutes. Austin Dillon, a bad finish at Auto Club Speedway 2 weeks ago. Was that a fluke, or should we be worried about the team? I'm not worried about him. Obviously, I'm starting him again this week.
So that's your top 3. Rounding out my team, Danica Patrick has run well of late, except for her mishap last week. Well, someone else's mishap. This has been her best racetrack by the numbers at Martinsville Speedway. So Danica Patrick, I'm going to give her a look this week on my team. Also, Matt DiBenedetto. Talked to him in the garage at the Auto Club Speedway. This team has been pretty solid for an underfunded team. 20th at Phoenix, that's a win for BK Racing. They've only finished outside of the top 30 once, and that was 31st at Las Vegas. And the rest of the year, they've been in the top 30. So the 83, which is Matt DiBenedetto, the 10 of Danica Patrick is on my team, the 4 of Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, and Denny Hamlin. That's my team. Round out your team, Robbie, and we'll go to Alex.
I'm going to have Ryan Blaney on my team. Picked him up for $17. The Wood brothers returning to their home track for the first time in 5 years. Ryan Blaney making his first start in the Sprint Cup Series in Martinsville, picking him on my team. What could possibly go wrong? I know. Hopefully he has a good run this weekend. And I'm going to round out my team with Landon Castle, who had the highest finish for my team at Auto Club Speedway 2 weeks ago. He finished 16th in that race. 11 Martinsville starts. He was 21st in both races last year. I'm going to keep him on the team for another week and see what he does for me.
Tweet us. Let us know what you think of our teams. After the break, we'll talk to Alex Hayden next on The Inside Line.
The Inside Line will return in just a moment.
Does your heart race for great taste? For a limited time, get 20% off Creekstone Farms premium St. Louis-style all-natural Duroc pork ribs. Choose between 4 or 8 fall-off-the-bone rack of ribs and get up to $30 in savings. Just place your order at creekstonefarms.com before April 30th using the promo code MRN20RIBS. That's MRN20RIBS. Enjoy the juiciest premium quality beef and pork products. Visit creekstonefarms.com today.
If you need a ready-mix truck with an excellent product support network, look no further than Houseby Mixer Systems. We offer superior performance and reliability. Houseby works with your local truck dealer for immediate product support for the ready-mix trucks, parts, and service. We can also offer direct sales. It's your choice. We also carry an inventory of ready-to-work mixer trucks. Visit Houseby.com for more information.
Don't miss the first ever Country 500, the Great American Music Fest at Daytona International Speedway, Memorial Day weekend. Join Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean, Kid Rock, Lady Antebellum, Florida Georgia Line, Willie Nelson, and many more for 3 awesome days and nights of music, camping, and more on the infield of the World Center of Racing. Visit country500.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Inside Line. Here are your hosts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Welcome back to MRN's.com's Inside Line, presented by Hercules Tire. Again, it's STP Race Week. Join us for the STP 500 this weekend. Practice for that race is coming up in just an hour after this show. But right now, he really needs no introduction, but we'll do it anyways. MRN pit reporter Alex Hayden joins us now on the hotline. Alex, how was your Easter break?
Everything was really good. I appreciate that. I hope you guys had a good break as well.
Yes, it was good. Robbie, was yours good? Did you do some heavy fantasy thinking?
I did. I did a lot of pondering last weekend after the stretch of races that I've struggled throughout the course of the season. I need to listen to Alex Hayden more. Alex Hayden's my hero.
Alex, Jeff Gordon says Hamlin, Logano, Kurt Busch, and Jimmy Johnson will be the class of the field come Sunday. Do you agree, or do you have someone else in that category?
I agree that there's a couple of those that are going to be good. Obviously, Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson are known for Martinsville. Now with Jeff Gordon sitting upstairs in the TV booth and not behind the wheel of a race car, that opens up a slot for somebody else to step up and be dominant. But, yeah, I agree. Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin are really good. Kurt Busch and Joey Logano, I think they're going to be good. It's difficult, though, because while Kurt Busch is a fantastic short-track driver and runs well at Martinsville Speedway, if you look at the finishes, Kurt Busch has got a bit of a bad streak as far as finishes go. So, yeah, he's going to run at the front of the field, but it seems like something always happens where he ends up finishing further down the road. Logano, we know what happened in the fall there. I think Logano is one of those drivers that whether you love him or hate him, I would stay away from him this weekend at Martinsville because this is the track where it's easy to get into somebody, accidentally or not. And Logano's got a bunch of people that have his number on their list. So I would think Logano's going to be kind of the bowling ball. I'm not going to say he's going to get demolished and taken out like he did in the fall, but I certainly think Logano's going to be bullied around some on the racetrack, so I'd stay away from him.
And his most recent enemy is Martin Truex Jr., of course, at the Auto Club Speedway. So, Robbie, what do you have for Alex? I mean, there's a lot of questions going into Martinsville.
There really are, and the biggest one for me is I've avoided Kevin Harvick pretty much the entire season, and it's bitten me. I'm adding him to my team this week. Not the greatest numbers in the world in Martinsville Speedway, not the worst. Is Harvick a good pickup this week?
I think so. Kevin Harvick is a pretty good driver at Martinsville Speedway. And basically looking at where you're at in the standings, Robbie, you need points right now.
Yeah.
I think I don't think this is a point where you need to go out and try to dominate the world. Certainly that's what the goal is, but to go out and get solid points, Kevin Harvick's a pretty good bet to do that at Martinsville. I think he'll be a top 5 car, but I think it's the back half of the top 5.
You know, we play the NASCAR.com league, Tyler and I on this show, and it's a salary cap league. There are some leagues out there that you can pick a driver a certain number of times. One driver surprisingly good in Martinsville is Jamie McMurray. 10th last spring, 2nd last fall, 14 top 10 finishes and 26 career starts. You know, for obviously for our league, we're not going to take him as far as the salary cap goes. But for those leagues where you can only pick a guy a certain number of times, would that be a good choice this weekend in Martinsville?
He would be one I would start, hands down. And he was one of them on my list to talk about. McMurray, not just based off the last 2 finishes last year, but Jamie McMurray has a feel for this track. And if you look at the greats at Martinsville Speedway, the Jeff Gordons, the Jimmy Johnsons, Hamlins, the one thing that constantly comes up in their discussing of this track is you have to have a feel for the track. You have to have a rhythm as far as the throttle, out of the throttle, on the brakes, not abusing the equipment. Well, McMurray is one of those drivers who quietly has a feel for Martinsville Speedway. I think a lot of that is attributed to his go-kart racing. He's one of the best go-kart road course racers around, and he understands throttle and braking and the rhythm that takes with using both feet to do that. So McMurray is a definite starter. Anytime I go to Martinsville Speedway, as long as Jamie McMurray's entered in the race, he's going to start for me.
You know, I hear drivers say that Martinsville is so difficult to get a hold of, but most drivers, before they ever get to the Sprint Cup Series, run on 100 different short tracks across the country. What makes Martinsville so difficult to get a hold of?
I think it's a combination of 2 different things. Actually, I can throw 3 things in there. The first one is the fact that, yes, it's a short track, but it's a uniquely shaped short track. You're going to be hard-pressed to find any short track around the country that has long straightaways and very, very tight corners, which means you're going to have to stand on the brakes going into 1 and going into turn 3, but you can't stand on them too much. There's a fine line there of abusing the equipment and using it for what it's for. I think that's one thing that separates this track and why it's so difficult. I think another one is that you've got asphalt down the straightaways, but you have concrete in the middle of the corners. And you're not going to find that at very many short tracks around the country either. And to the layperson, that may not seem like a whole lot. But to these Goodyear tires that have to grip the racetrack under braking, you're transitioning from asphalt, which traditionally has more grip than does concrete, but it's the same coming off the corners. You have to get the power down to the back tires to come from the concrete less grip onto the asphalt. And that can create a lot of headaches for a lot of these drivers, and more importantly, headaches for the teams who have to set these race cars up. So that's the other thing, and I think the third thing that really stands out and makes Martinsville so tough is it's the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. It's the best competition in the world. Yes, these guys have run short tracks the majority of their lives, but this is unique. The competition is the best in the world, and for those three things, that's why, to me, Martinsville Speedway is probably one of the more special places we go to.
I like what you said about the feel of the racetrack, and to me, there's two guys that have the best feel of the racetrack. I mean, Jamie McMurray's in that category, but Denny Hamlin and Jimmy Johnson going to Martinsville are the guys who have the feel of the racetrack. Now, another one who probably has her best feel of the racetrack is at Martinsville. I mean, that's probably her best racetrack, and she's about $11 and change on NASCAR.com. She's run well lately, though a mishap with Casey Kane last week at Auto Club. Could Danica Patrick get a look this weekend, Alex, on your fantasy team?
Absolutely. I agree with you, and I agree with all your reasonings behind it. Danica is not, as we just talked about, a traditional short track racer, but she's adapted well to this. And I think part of it is she just keeps the nose of the race car clean. She keeps the fenders on it, as they say in the garage area. She doesn't jeopardize the race car. And when we get to lap 400 out of the 500 laps at Martinsville, suddenly she's running in the top 10 because she hasn't had to make that extra pit stop. She hasn't had to come to pit road for a cut-down tire from banging on somebody else's fender out there. So I think Danica Patrick is one of a couple of drivers that I would look at that you don't necessarily think about starting on a weekly basis. And there's a couple of more of them out there as well.
All right, so this week, real quick, before we wrap things up with you, your team. I mean, you said you had Jamie McMurray. Who else do you got on it real quick?
If I'm going to start four different drivers, McMurray's one of them. I start Jimmy Johnson. I start Denny Hamlin. My other driver, my fourth driver that I will start, made a Sprint Cup Series start in this race a year ago in the spring, driving for Kyle Larson. And a lot of people are overlooking Regan Smith. Regan Smith is hungry to get back to Martinsville Speedway and compete well. If you look at these numbers this year for Tommy Baldwin Racing, they're having a pretty doggone good year. I mean, they're higher in the points than a lot of major race teams out there. And Regan Smith has been chomping at the bit to get back behind the wheel of a Sprint Cup Series car full time. He's there, and I think Regan Smith will shine this weekend. Will he win? No, I don't think so. Will he finish in the 10th position? Well, it's possible. I think it's certainly an attainable goal to finish 10th, but I don't think Regan Smith is going to be outside the top 15. So if you're looking for somebody else, in my opinion, Regan Smith is somebody you need to take a look at.
Wow, that's a good look. I mean, we have Regan Smith on the show all the time because he loves fantasy racing, so we would love that because we can bring him back on the show.
Absolutely, yeah.
Alex, thanks for joining us. We'll see you this weekend at Martinsville, all right?
Thanks so much for having me on, as always, guys. Keep up the great work.
All right, Alex Hayden, pit reporter for the Motor Racing Network. One final break. We'll come back with our winners next here on the Inside Line.
Got a question or opinion about your fantasy lineup? Give us a call at 8444-ASK-MRN, and it may get used on next week's show. The Inside Line will return in a moment.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
O'Reilly.
If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, it's me, Kansas Speedway, and I'm sorry. Sorry for the barehanded slap of adrenaline and the burnt rubber aftertaste. Sorry other tailgates will seem lame. Yeah, real sorry about that.
It's the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series GoBowling.com 400. Saturday night, May 7th, Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah. Sorry, Mom.
Tickets at KansasSpeedway.com.
You're welcome.
Let's talk more fantasy racing on The Inside Line. Here's Robbie and Tyler.
Again, join the other 932 people playing in our NASCAR.com Fantasy Live League. There's probably a sure bet, as Alex alluded to, that you'll beat Robbie Mays. So that's
okay. All right.
That's a cheap shot.
Okay, come on. Let's just go ahead and hash it out.
But you finally put Harvick on your team, so
what? Yeah.
Search MRN Inside Line on NASCAR.com Fantasy Live. All right, drum roll. Who do you got? Winner, Martinsville.
Oh, we're doing that
this
now?
weekend at the Paperclip.
We're
This
doing
is
that
the
now?
final segment.
We should have had some
Have you
paper
not been
clips.
paying attention
We
all
should have had
show
some paper
long?
clips on the desk.
Yes.
Yeah, well, or some hot dogs.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
My winner, drum roll, Clark, is going to be Denny Hamlin, 26.75, 5 wins, including 3 in a row from the fall of 2009 through the fall of 2010. Consistent at this racetrack. He's money at this racetrack right now, and I talked about his wins on short tracks before. 16 top 10 finishes. He once had 9 of those in a row, so I'm picking Denny Hamlin to win this weekend. Second win of the year.
That's a very good pick. And like I said, I put him on my team. So if I put him on my team, then you know he's got to be good, you know? Why are you not paying attention to what I'm saying?
Because when you talk, all I hear is the teacher from Charlie Brown, okay? A muted trombone, that's what I hear.
Joey Logano is my winner this weekend. And I somewhat agree with what Alex said as far as he's making a lot of enemies right now. But when you're that good at a racetrack like he was last year, and NASCAR is not going to let it happen again. There's no question about that. And that's just too fresh in everyone's mind, what happened with Kenseth and Logano. I'm sure all of you watching know what I'm talking about. If Joey Logano is the best car on Sunday, he's most likely going to win the race because that's not going to happen again. So Joey Logano is going to come in fired up, and I think this is where he gets his first win of the season at Martinsville this weekend.
I think that's a good choice. I think this team needs something good to happen to them. Team Penske in general this year hasn't struggled per se, but they haven't exactly been knocking the doors off like they had at this point last year. I still think it's a good pick, and I'll go back to what I said earlier today. This race is usually cleaner than the fall race, and it's early in the season, and I know we still have drivers that are mad at each other, but I just don't see this being a retaliation race.
No.
There's too much still on the line right now.
Well, it's too fresh in everyone's mind.
It's fresh in everyone's mind what happened. We're coming off an off week, so everyone's had a chance to decompress a little bit after the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. So I think this weekend at Martinsville, it's going to be more laid back, and I don't think you're going to see any retaliation this weekend. Now, that being said, Bristol and Richmond are coming up on the horizon. We could see some stuff there.
Yes, and one thing that Jeff Gordon did talk about, too, was that it's going to be cooler this weekend. And usually in this race it is cooler, and the fall race is cool, too.
Yeah.
But if it's hot, it lays down rubber, and,
Right.
and that's different than if it's cooler. And some drivers like it where it lays down rubber, lays down rubber, like a Denny Hamlin or a Jimmy Johnson who's used to that kind of racetrack. But yes, that's where it is. Joey Logano is my winner. Your winner is
Denny Hamlin.
Follow us all week long. You're going to go to Martinsville.
I
right?
am looking forward to being at the racetrack this weekend, my first race the track this season. So hope to see some of you folks out there. Come out and see us.
Practice coming up in an hour from now at 11 Eastern Time. Pole qualifying at 4 today. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is back on at 2 Eastern Time. And then, of course, the STP 500. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to The Inside Line, presented by Hercules Tires. Stream us every Friday on MotorRacingNetwork.com or on the MRN app. The Inside Line is also available on demand at the MRN.com Media Center or download it through iTunes or Stitcher. The Inside Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.